Hello, everyone, and good day to you all. Welcome to Pirate Network. Today, we're really going to talk about the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. So, to start with, let's just explore how we got to where we are today as far as the conflict is concerned. Now, on October the 7th, Hamas went as far as breaching Israeli security in southern Israel and moved their militia to southern Israel, capturing 251 Israelis as hostages and killing a substantial number of people, ranging to the number of between 14 to 1,500 people. They were murdered in broad daylight. Now, as a result of that security breach, Israel, the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, moved their arsenal personnel to Gaza and started a war. Now, let's ask this question. Israel is a world leader in military hardware production, military intelligence, and all of that military operations worldwide in Israel, outside of Israel. So let's see how the group Hamas was able to penetrate the southern border to be able to abduct and kill a lot of Israelis. So first of all, the concentration of Israeli intelligence units were more focused on the north by way of focus towards Hezbollah. Hezbollah is stationed in Lebanon. Hezbollah is a paramilitary organization outside the sphere of the government of Lebanon. In other words, it's an army working outside the realms or the authority of the Lebanese army or the Lebanese government. So Israeli intelligence was really focused on Hezbollah more than it was on Hamas. So that's one of the reasons why Hamas was able to breach Israeli security in the southern Israel and come into Israel, kill and abduct a lot of people, 251 to be precise. So that started a war between the IDF and Hamas. Now, as I speak to you, you all have seen the total devastation that the IDF has brought on the whole entire Gaza, to the point where Sinai, which is at the southernmost part of Gaza, has been taken over by the IDF with the fact, not excuse, but fact that weapons are being smuggled from Egypt into Gaza. That's a fact. That's how the basis of which they operate, by digging tunnels and smuggling goods and military hardware through the tunnels to be able to get to the militia Hamas group. So Hezbollah, the fight has moved mainly from Gaza to Lebanon. Israel is taking the fight to Hezbollah, because apparently when the war was ongoing between Israeli IDF and Hamas, Hezbollah, in support of Hamas, were firing a lot of ammunition and rockets into northern Israel. And that in turn caused some easiness among the Israeli population and the Israeli military as a whole. Because what ended up happening is, once Hezbollah from the north started firing into northern Israel, that caused a situation where Israel had to evacuate almost 100,000 people or citizens of Israel living in northern Israel to the inner city. And that has really caused a lot of political backlash for Benjamin Netanyahu as the Prime Minister of Israel. So the main idea of the IDF right now as we speak is to also push back Hezbollah into mainland Lebanon, where the citizens of Israel who have been evacuated from northern Israel can return back to their homes. That's the main ideology of the IDF as we speak right now. Now, let's explore the geographical setup of Israel. There sits Israel. Israel has to the north Lebanon, to the northeast Syria and the Golan Heights. Golan Heights was captured by the Israelis from Syria many, many years ago. So Golan Heights and Syria to the northeast, and then on the west, no, not on the west, but on the east side, you have Palestine, West Bank Palestine. Now Palestine is two, it's Palestinian West Bank and then the Gaza Strip. So you have, to the west, you have the West Bank Palestine, and then Jordan is also to the west. And then on the southernmost part, you have Gaza, and then you have Egypt also down to the south. Now, what ended up happening is before the Hezbollah war, before Israel started actively engaging Hezbollah in this current war that we speak, that just happened in the last couple of days, Israel set up a shell company in Hungary, right? In other words, it was a front. Okay, so Israel set up a shell company in Hungary. Hassan Nasrallah, who happens to be the boss of Hezbollah, at one point in time told all Hezbollah members to throw away their cell phones because he had some type of hint that the Israeli intelligence, which is Mossad, just the same as we have the FBI, CIA in America, they have their Mossad, which is Israeli intelligence group. He had hint that they had access, or they had penetrated the cell phone network of Hezbollah members. So he asked all Hezbollah members to discard their cell phones. He himself authorized the purchase of low-level pages and walkie-talkies just so the Israelis won't be able to penetrate their communication systems. Now, come to find out that the company that they bought the pages and the walkie-talkies from was an Israeli front. In other words, they bought from the enemy, so to speak, enemy, and they did not even know. So the blame is now on Hassan Nasrallah because he orchestrated the whole move of moving from the regular cell phone way of communicating to more of walkie-talkies and pages, just to not be in the shadow or in the realm of the Israeli intelligence service. The people or the company that they went to in Hungary to buy those pages and those walkie-talkies were a front, were a setup company disguised as a real company, but it was being operated by Israeli intelligence service. So before they handed over those cell phones by pages and walkie-talkies to the Hezbollah group in Lebanon, they had implanted bombs in the cell phones, bombs in the pages, and the Hezbollah did not even know. That's how good the Israeli intelligence is. It's just top notch, top of the world. You know, I'm just stating facts, not in support of any group, but I'm just stating facts. Well, so what ended up happening was that in the end, Israel was able to locate all the devices that had been bought, and was also able to, detonate those devices, and in turn, in doing so, causing a lot of panic and a lot of death in the Hezbollah group. So in other words, Israel was able to dismantle a chunk of their communication network, if not all, by way of the Israeli, the Israelis are really far. They're like 50 years ahead of the Hezbollah in terms of any category of military hardware, military intelligence, and everything of that sort. Hezbollah is mainly being sponsored by Iran, and Iran has a lot of outdated equipment and not up to par to the Israeli military, which is top notch. So Hezbollah, in doing so, led by Hassan Nasrallah, has caused a lot of distraction to Hezbollah in itself as an organization. If you can't keep your cell phones, your communication network fully at a level where they're not being penetrated by other forces, then in my opinion, then you're not up to par. By no means at a level of the Israeli military. Israeli military is top notch. So there's talk of Hassan Nasrallah as the leader of Hezbollah even being at the point where he could even lose his position because there's a lot of unhappiness. So I'm going to share with you a discussion on NBC News about this gentleman called Igal Common. He's the Middle East Media Research Institute boss, and he explains a lot about the uneasiness in Hezbollah as well as the potential for Hassan Nasrallah to lose his job as the boss for Hezbollah at this point in time. So please listen to what Igal Common has to say, and I guarantee you that will be a really news being put in good context about the situation in Hezbollah now and looking into the future, what it's going to be like.
Coming up, after Israel's strike on Hezbollah electronics, what's the fallout for Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah? With so many of Hezbollah's leaders having been struck in the last few weeks, Hassan Nasrallah is left with fewer men in his war cabinet. That, plus the recent pager incident, has caused his overall standing to plummet in the eyes of the world and his own military. Yigal Karmon from the Middle East Media Research Institute stopped by to tell us more. Take a look. Yigal Karmon, thanks for joining us, founder of Memory. Tell me, how are people in Lebanon, especially Hezbollah, how are they reacting to the leadership of Hassan Nasrallah?
Well, they are in a very, he is in a very precarious situation. There is a big distrust, a fall in the trust in his leadership. And why? Because the Hezbollah operatives and leadership, whoever remained, see him as the one person that is responsible for the mishaps that happened. He, on February 13, 24, he spoke on Al Manar TV and said to everybody, drop your cell phones, throw them, put them in an iron box, don't use them, you, your families, everyone. And he personally is responsible for the buying of thousands of pagers from a company in Hungary that isn't even a company, it's a residential place with a sign unknown. Thousands of pagers that were used by the operatives and exploded. So they see him as responsible. And it's no accident that he did not show up in any way, not even speaking from his dungeon at the funeral of all those who died, because he's responsible for their deaths. Everybody knows it. So Naim Qassem, his deputy, was sent to speak. There is a distrust in his leadership, and it will show up in the coming month.
How serious is a threat to his leadership?
First of all, as long as he has the support of Iran, he can still stumble around. But the Iranians are suspecting his leadership also because it is now out there that Raisi, the former president, had one of the pagers. And there are suspicions that it exploded, and this is what caused the helicopter's crash. Wow. And there are others that the ambassador in the Iranian ambassador in Lebanon and others. So he will lose the Iranian support as well. He is just not fit. He acted in a totally irresponsible way. I mean, to find some company that doesn't even exist and buy from them thousands for your people, this is highly reckless.
And where do you see this going right now, the battle right now in Lebanon?
As it was before, it all depends on Iran. And Iran does not need this fight now. They don't need a war, a regional war. They don't need a war with them. And they will not come to the rescue of Hezbollah because they have not done it in 2006. They fight to the last proxy. And they will not help Hezbollah even now. So like in 2006, where the Hezbollah had to agree to the Security Council Resolution 1701 to stay behind the Litani, they will have at some point to agree to that because Iran will not be there to fight for them.
Yeah, Yigal Karman, great insight and analysis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.